Welcome to the Curiosity Catalyst podcast. My name is Mitch South. It's so good to have you here. The purpose of this podcast is to be curious. Curiosity is the key that opens up the doors to possibility, which will open up a world of endless learning and discovery. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's get into this episode. Okay guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully this week will be a pretty good episode. I liked studying for it. The quote of the week starts out as, watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. And that quote was from Lao Tzu. So I'll get into that a little bit more later, but this past week I was in Idaho. I was helping out my dad with a project that he's got going on up there. We were trying to save a cabin that was super moldy, like crazy mold. Ended up being that there was so much mold that they couldn't fix it. They couldn't save it. There was just too much black mold and it had penetrated all of the old wood. And so we're going to have to do something with it. We don't know yet. So anyways, while I was up there, I got to help my aunt move. And it just got me thinking of all of the times that I've had to move. And in the past 4 years that I've been married to my wife, we've had to move a lot of times. We moved to Rexburg, then to Manan, then to Ashton, then back to Rexburg, then to Ogden, then to Fresno, then back to Ogden, then to Vineyard, and then we're going to have to move here at the end of the year again. And so even just the word moving just kind of gives me dread because it's just been such a hard thing. And the past couple times I've had to move, I had to do it all by myself. Now, you would think that moving so many times would give you experience in it. You would find a better way to make it easier. But the biggest difference maker with moving is people showing up. If people show up and you have a big group that's able to help you out, it can make a big difference. It can cut down your workload by ridiculous margins. So part of the reason that it's hard for me is that you have to rely on somebody. And that kind of puts you into a vulnerable position. And I don't really like being vulnerable. I don't like asking for help because I don't like it when somebody bails on me. I remember one time, and hopefully he doesn't get too upset with this when he sees it, but my youngest brother, Will, there were so many times, and I can think of like 15 times it probably happened, but where I would ask for help and he'd tell me he could help. And we were moving. We only had maybe 3 or 4 guys, and all of a sudden he'd text me and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be with my friends. They have this big party night or whatever." And he just bailed. He totally bailed on me when I thought that I had his help. And I think that almost everybody kind of experiences that. They've had times when someone bailed on them, and it doesn't feel good. In fact, it's kind of terrifying, especially with moving. Part of the reason it's so bad with moving is that if you think about if it takes 300 trips to finish the move, right? 300 times going to the car and back, and you have another person come, all of a sudden it's 150 trips instead of 300. You have 3 people come, it's 100. You have 10 people come, it's 30. So just that the number of people can severely affect how long it takes you, the effort that it takes. And really, it's 30 trips isn't bad for moving somebody out of a place. And so anyways, it was like that a couple times. And I remember having some of those talks with him and following through with what you say. Now, another funny kind of super painful experience for my cousin was we were moving my cousin. She was she was moving out of her townhome, and someone had promised to bring a truck and two other friends to help move out. And so they were supposed to show up right around 6:30, and at 6:30 that they said that they were going to be there, they sent a text and said they were going to be there in 15 minutes. And at 6:45 they sent another text saying that they weren't going to be able to make it, and that the truck was in the shop, and that the other two friends were going to make it as well. Now, you can kind of see how big of a predicament that can leave someone in, especially like her. She ended up, she had to leave the next morning, and we had no way to transport her stuff to where we needed to. We needed to get it to a storage unit. Fortunately, we had my brother-in-law was there, and he was able to kind of help out, and he knew some friends in the area, and we got a truck. But the point of these few stories is this: if you say you're going to do something, do it. Period. End of story. You are not obligated to help every single time somebody needs help. But if you say you are going to do something, then you stick through with it. Your word is connected with your reputation, and your reputation is a reflection of who you are. Everything about your character is connected to your word. Trust, honesty, integrity are all tied to what you say, and if you say what you do, or if you do what you say. If you find that you're, that all the time you're volunteering and just trying to be helpful and help other people, but it comes up that, you had something pop up or it was just too much, then you might need to back off and not offer your help. It's better to reject a plea for help than it is to fail on a promise. Man, they said, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. It's the same concept with building a building. If you think about it, a building has so many steps. Unless you've really actually built a building, you don't realize how long it takes, how much planning it takes and preparation, how many loopholes you have to jump through in order to actually make it happen. You have to get plans. You have to get those plans approved by the city. You have to have, all of the different things happen. You have to have the engineers pass off on the plans to make sure that they're good. Then the builders have to come in, and you start from, the ground up, literally. Move the ground, excavate a foundation, a footing. You build on that footing, and wall by wall until you can build a home. And it doesn't stop until the finest, smallest parts of the home are done. Now, to destroy a home, it's a lot simpler. The only thing you need to destroy a home is a wrecking ball. You could come in with a dozer or wrecking ball, and that home could be toast within minutes to an hour. It doesn't take very long to destroy something, and it can take forever to repair the trust that won't happen again. If you have a friend that you go in with an investment, and you go and invest in some homes, and all of a sudden the friend backstabs you, cuts you out, and you lose all of the money, right? That trust is destroyed. And it may take years, literally years, to get that back, if you ever give that trust back to that person. And even when you give it back to them, sometimes you never actually really trust them. You're always worried that they might do what they did before. And so that's kind of the whole purpose of this. When I was thinking about going up and helping my aunt move, it just reminded me of how many times we all are put into circumstances that someone doesn't keep their word. Their word is bond. What that means is that came from sailors used to do it, merchants. They used to, when they'd make a deal, they didn't have as much paper as we do now. And so what they would say is that your word is your bond. And if you said it, you had to do it. It's kind of sad to me how much we varied from those principles and how much someone's word means nowadays. It doesn't mean much anymore, unfortunately, because so many people break their word. So I guess the whole point of it is just to start with yourself. Part of the reason that so many people break their word to others is that they break their word to themselves first. And they don't feel honest and they don't feel like they have integrity because they lie to themselves. That's one of the biggest and hardest things to overcome, is lying to yourself. Be honest. Be truthful with yourself first, and other things will follow. In the morning, if you tell yourself that you're going to get up and you make a commitment, do it. Start with little small things. If you say you're going to clean up your mess, do it. And don't let yourself slip. These are really, really simple, small things, and they don't take much time. But the habit of doing it over and over and over, it builds your character, and you won't fall on other people. I feel like sometimes I cheat myself more than I cheat other people. If I know somebody's gonna need it or is depending on me, then I will move heaven and earth to make it happen, because I don't want ever to let someone down just because it was inconvenient. If I say I'm going to help, I promise you I will. And if you're saying that you're going to help too much and you're making too many promises, then back off. Don't make those promises. Don't tell people that you're going to do something and then bail. That's one of the worst things I think that you can do. It's so much worse than just never promising in the first place. But if you want to build your character and you want to become the person that people do rely on and they trust, then make promises. But be careful which ones you make. Only make the ones that you know that you can come through on. But if you're worried about it and you're not sure if you can actually come through on your word, then practice with yourself. Practice by saying the things that you're going to do and hold yourself to that. And when you practice that and build your own integrity and your own honesty to yourself, then I promise you, your character is going to grow. And more people will trust you. You'll find more people have a higher reputation. They think higher of you, and they'll trust you with bigger and better opportunities. So, yeah, this might have been a little bit of a shorter episode, but I just wanted to leave you with that. That's just been on my mind, and it's so, so dang important. I think about it all the time, literally all the time. If someone keeps their word and I trust them, then I literally feel like I have a friend for life. If someone backs out and I can't trust them and I feel like they're dishonest, then I won't put my trust in them anymore. I'll ask for help, but in the back of my mind, there's always a little piece of me that's worried. So do your best to build that trust and to keep growing and building your integrity and honesty, and you'll become that person that people want to trust. So thank you guys so much. As always, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.